Hi, this is Réal Andrews with Getting Real, and you're listening to your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. We're going to have a great show. I got my co-host, Alex Rabina, here, and our guest, David Einemer. You're going to hear more about him. But I know some of you say, who is this Réal Andrews guy? Well, I'm an actor, a father, a husband. I love to fish. I'm best known for Lieutenant Taggart on General Hospital. Yes, I was the guy taking Sonny down. And actually, I just spoke with Maurice the other day, a.k.a. Sonny, and there is talk that he is going to come on this show coming up. So I know that's exciting for you GH fans out there. But listen, what is our show all about? Our show is all about changing lives, giving you the tools to be able to break those chains, get through adversity, deal with the dream stealers and the naysayers so that you can be everything that you were created to be.
Absolutely. Right? I'm excited for you.
You excited?
Yeah.
You excited?
I'm excited, man.
All right. Well, what we like to do...
It's hard not to be excited around you.
It is?
Yeah.
I'm an exciting guy?
You bring out, there's a reason why you're a motivational speaker, because you get people fired up.
I'm the real deal?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I wouldn't be here if you weren't. Trust me.
Thank you. What we always like to kick our show off with something positive in the news. And I think we'd all be remiss if we didn't talk about Chris Mintz. Amazing, because there's so many things. We see it every day. These people that just become so, oblivious to things happening. They don't even do anything anymore. And this man not only did something, he got shot 7 times. He saved lives. He went back in. I mean, we need more of that.
Absolutely. I think that, when you talk about heroes don't think, they respond. Just like 9/11, or when we talk about the firefighters, when they, were called to action, they just flat out responded. And when you respond, a lot of times you respond from the human spirit inside of you that says, I need to go and help. I need to make a difference. And it's not okay with you to not lend a hand or not make reach out and help somebody. And so what an incredible courage he had. He just jumped and he just reacted and he responded.
That's awesome. And you brought it up. I've been thinking about, am I going to talk about this or not? But the show is called Getting Real. And sometimes we just deal with things that may offend people or bother them. But this is one of these comments that I call, you throw a rock at a bunch of dogs, the dog that bark is the one that hit. Okay? But if you're offended by what I'm about to share with you, it's just really about realigning the boat. Here's what I'm talking about. Before I say this real quick, I want to make sure you hear what I'm saying. I love everybody. I don't care if you're black, white, Chinese, Russian, gay, straight, Christian. I love you all. Okay, but as I'm driving my kids to school today, we go by that big flag up by Camping World up there, and my son says, Dad, did you see that picture that's out about the American flag? And I'm like, no, son, what picture? He says, well, there's this picture going around where you've got these American soldiers putting up the American flag, and it says hero. And then over here, it's got some people with the gay pride fight, and God bless you, I'm not knocking it, but they're holding up the purple flag, and they're saying real hero. I'm just saying, to me, that's insulting. I mean, that's wrong, guys. I mean, we would not be here if we didn't have soldiers that bled and fought for this country. There would be no gay pride fight. There'd be no march in Alabama for Martin Luther King. There'd be none of that. And that's just disrespectful for me. I don't know how you guys feel about that, but I think we got to get reconnected. Fly that American flag. If you've got a hero you're excited about, but by all means, but don't compare it to our American soldiers that, by the way, there's gay American soldiers, too, that fought and bled for this country, okay? So that's all I'm going to say. You got something?
I think that, when you're trying to compare, I think you're already going down the wrong path. There is no comparison. If you find somebody that's your hero, you just decide that's your hero. And if you want to share that, great. But when you start comparing, you're saying one is less than the other, and it's subjective. Everybody has their own way of thinking, and if that's what they think, then don't compare. Don't do that.
I agree.
Hey, I think we need to look at as a society who our heroes are. Because I think we just got a little misguided about some of the people we looking up to and the kids are looking up to as their heroes. And I'm not going to name names and the Kardashians and the Jenners and the this and the that, but these are the ones that the kids are looking up at heroes, and they're not the heroes. That young man who said, you know what, you're not getting in here, and he took 5 bullets to try and save those people. That's 7. That's a real hero right there.
I agree.
And I think just by us talking about it, bringing it to light, having a conversation, keeping him relevant, keeping him in the news, just more people having enough courage to use their voice to talk about it, shared some new enlightenment about it, opens up more possibilities to start thinking and going, you know what? I think that's I could line behind that. We need to start having more conversations with our kids and sit them down and say, hey, did you hear about that in the news about that guy? And then start talking and having those should be the conversations that we should be having at our dinner, right at the table there in our kitchen. We should be talking about stuff like that. Talk about stuff in the news, not talking about who dumped who or who got in the fight, on these reality shows. We should be talking about real stuff. And I think we're a little bit, because of the times and technology and the way kids are growing up and how they're, getting caught up in all the drama, we're being sucked into the wrong kind of drama. Let's get into the real stuff about how it affects us and how it impacts us in the world.
I think that's so true, and I couldn't agree more, because we just want to remind them. Actually, this is about a week old, but the reason I picked this story in the news with Chris Mintz is because we've already forgot about him. People so much want to remember all that dramatic stuff, and what was that? But listen, I'm excited. We've got David Einemer here, and I saw a presentation that he did, and I got to tell you something. I've been trying to get my son for 15 years to be excited about getting straight A's. He saw this presentation. He came running home, and he said, Mom, I want straight A's. Will you help me? And I mean, the moment you came on, the passion, I just said, I got to have you on the show. Tell us a little bit about you and what you're passionate about.
Well, I'm passionate about this value of an education. Okay, it's a presentation that I created to basically entertain, inform, make such a compelling rationale for the value of an education. By the time we're done, about an hour and 15 minutes later, most students stand up and make a commitment that they're going to value their education different than they ever have before, and more importantly, maybe even value their life differently than they ever have before. And that's a passion of mine.
Now, your life wasn't an easy road, right? Tell us how you came up. Because you're a teacher now, but yes, that's not what it looked like when you were a kid.
No, sir. And everybody has challenges, so I don't think mine were any much different or greater than much greater than anyone else's. Maybe just a little different than some. So I grew up in Brooklyn, New York, and single mom, raised 2 boys, and I didn't always make the best choices. So for me as a student, for example, and it's a little awkward to share this, but it is what it is. I started being truant from school in 4th grade. I didn't attend my 6th grade graduation. I was suspended from school at the time. Junior high, I went to 3 or 4 junior high schools because I was kicked out of a few, and I didn't really attend much school anyway. And then I went to high school. I ended up moving to California, which was a great move for us. And I did graduate high school, but barely. And it wasn't until I started attending a junior college out here and playing basketball where I started to get different grades and change my life in another direction. So for most students that I speak to, at one time I was a worse student, and then at another time I was a better student, because at one time in college, by the way, I got my AA degree, my bachelor's degree, my master's degree, and before I'm done, when I get some spare time around here, I'm going to get my doctorate degree. And when I was getting straight A's in college, they moved me from a basketball scholarship to an academic scholarship. So I've been on both sides of the student, not a very successful student and a much better student.
Nice, and a powerful teacher. Now, you say value of an education. You did a few things that just blew my mind. You actually broke down how much it's worth to a student per day in school, and the numbers were mind-boggling.
Yes, sir. Well, first off, I've done a lot of research on the value of an education. This isn't just a teacher or a man just talking from his experience. I've done a lot of research, and I've done the work. So, for instance, I asked the crowd, how much does a 10th grade dropout make per hour? We break that down by the hour, by the month, by the year. 40 years most people work 40 years in their lifetime. And when you break it down for a lifetime, for a 10th grade dropout, for a junior college graduate, and for someone with 6 years of college, usually the crowd comes up with numbers that are about $9 an hour for a high school dropout, about $18 an hour for somebody who graduated from a junior college, and about $70,000 a year for someone with 6 years of college. But then I went and got the U.S. Census Bureau statistics. Okay, and I have the latest results from U.S. Census Bureau, which is 2013, and basically for not a high school graduate, the yearly salary is $27,000. For someone with an associate's degree, it's $43,000. For someone with a master's degree, it's $76,000. But then we break that down. So if you look at the difference, if you project that over 40 years, someone who drops out of high school, they're going to make a little bit over $1 million, $1,100,000. Someone who has an associate's degree, they're going to make about $1,700,000. So they made an extra $600,000. What did they do to get that extra $600,000? They went to school. They went 4 years, 11th grade, 12th grade, first year, second year of college. Divide that $600,000 by the 4 years, it's about $150,000 a year. Then you ask them how many days you go to school. Man, it only feels like 365, right? We get weekends, we get holidays, and it's 180 days. Divide that $150,000 by the 180 days, it's almost $1,000 a day that they are getting paid to go to school, and the more money that they're going to make over their lifetime because they stayed in school. And then if you take it a step further and you get that master's degree as opposed to an associate's degree, with a master's degree in your lifetime, average person, U.S. Census Bureau statistics, over $3 million. Break that down compared to the associate's degree of $1,700,000, that's an extra $1,300,000. Divide that by the 4 years. That's going to be over $300,000 a year. Divide that by the 180 days, that's $1,850 a day. Ka-ching. And I know I went through some numbers and I went it quick. That is the U.S. Census Bureau statistics. Now that is between the ages of 15 and 23 years old, where they are setting themselves up in their future that they're going to make that much more money over their lifetime by staying in school.
Wowza. So is it worth it to stay in school?
Well, I think that, you're speaking the language to some of the kids that they want to have the nice cars. They want to have the home. They want to be somebody. They want to be accomplished. They want to be successful. And so when you're speaking real to them and you're breaking it down and giving them the numbers, they're sitting there going, oh my God. And inside their own mind, they're deciding, I need to educate myself. It's not you telling them to educate themselves, because if you tell them, it's your opinion. But if you can get them to decide it for themselves, it's now their truth. And so now when they say it to themselves, like, man, I need to start putting more focus on my grades. As soon as they say that, boom, it's now become their ownership. Now they own the intention to go out and continue to educate themselves. That's what I love about the way that you break that down. It's not like you're preaching to them. You're just breaking down some facts so that they can look at it, regurgitate it, process it, and then decide to accept it or not. And so I think the numbers don't speak. They speak for themselves, and it just empowers people.
And what he did, Alex, which is awesome, I want you to kind of role play with us.
Okay.
Because he took it to another level, and he did this little skit with them, and I think that's what really hit. I mean, I saw that. Role play with us. Show us what you did.
Sure. And real quick, there's a lot more value to an education than just the money. I've done my research there. So, for example, real quick, 68% of people in prison do not have a high school diploma. The unemployment rate, it's 4 times more likely that you're going to be unemployed for a high school dropout as opposed to someone with a bachelor's degree. So, but as to your point, man, as far as a little story I shared in the presentation, and I'll use you, Réal, in the story if you don't mind. When you were a young man and you was in school and you had $20 sitting on your desk, well, if one of your classmates came by and grabbed that $20 from you and said, sit down, that's my $20. What would you say about that?
It's about to get real. I'm about to get my $20 back.
Okay, and when you say get real, get your $20 back, I don't want you to get in trouble here about what you do, but just elaborate for a second real quick. What would you do to get your $20 back?
Well, first and foremost, when I was in school, $20 for me would be a lot, so I'm going to fight for it.
Okay, you're going to fight for it.
I'm going to fight
$20.
for it.
And by the way, I've seen you in the gym because I worked out at Ballacor with you 4:30 in the morning every day last week.
That's it.
And I know you're a tough guy. So let me ask you another question. You're going to hunt them down, you go fight, you're going to get that $20 back. Now recall back to when you was a kid and you was in class, and some kid was running their mouth in class, and they talking and they get in the way of your education. What did you do? Wait, I'm going to tell you what you did. You sat there on your butt and you said nothing and you did nothing, and that kid would run his mouth and you would let him punk you out of your education each and every day. Now, if you think about it, you want to hunt somebody down and fight to get $20 back, but how much was that education worth? We talking $800, $2,000 a day, and you're sitting there letting some kid run their mouth and punk you out of your education every day. That does not make sense to me, you know? And then when you take it a step further, when you talk about fighting for $20, now if you get your education, your kids are more likely to get their education. So now I'm gonna talk about getting real. I'm gonna get real with you for a minute. Now, catch me on the wrong day, take $20 from me. You know, catch me on the wrong day, I might chase you down. But really, that's $20. That's not a big deal. But now, if you're talking about the legacy of your family for generations to come, that if I get my education, my kids are more likely to get their education, my grandkids are more likely to get their education. That's something worth fighting for. What's your last name, sir?
Andrews.
Andrews. So now if we're talking about the legacy of the Andrews family for generations to come, that's something worth fighting for. Would you agree?
I mean, that's that. I mean, and this passion, and you can't see this in Radio Land, but this is why he can't even get through this without the tears coming to his eyes, and I'm feeling it too, because that's really what we're talking about, fighting for our family. And I mean, that was just mind-boggling to me to see that, and just it was real. Because we would fight for $20, but really, and I love what you said. You actually gave an example that, because we don't want to preach fighting, but it's like you want to say, you know what? Hey, I'll just role play with Alex. Say, Alex, listen, you may not want this education, but I do.
Yeah, when he's talking about fighting, it's not about physically fighting. It's about taking a stand.
Yep.
It's using your voice to let everybody know, hey, I'm here to focus on what I'm here to create, which is my education, so I get smarter, so I can, evolve as a human being, and so I can go out there and make a difference for my family, because my family is important. So it's more about fighting for why you're there, rather than sitting there and playing into the games of being liked by everybody, getting approval by them. And so when he called you out and said, no, what you probably would do is just be quiet. You wouldn't say anything. I think the problem is that most young people, they still don't have the confidence yet to speak up and say something. And so what they do is they let all the bullies kind of run the show. But if enough of them decided, wait, no. If it just took one of you to have the courage to say, no, I'm here to get an education, you need to sit down. You might just inspire the second leader to step up and go, you know what, he's right. And then you got a third and a fourth. It just takes one person to empower the rest of the room. Because I bet you probably 90% of the rest of the kids are probably thinking the same thing, but no one's got the courage to step up and say anything about it.
And check this out, Alex. I actually watched what you talking about happen, because behind me, my Marcus was there with his whole football team. And for the beginning of the presentation, most of them were fooling around and being football players, being kids. And I'm sitting there trying to focus. And halfway through, all of a sudden, Marcus, he's been like, shh.
That's right.
He's starting to shoot.
That's
and by
right.
the end of it, he's starting to get mad. He's like, guys, you guys need... And it actually happened right there in front of my eyes. Like I said, I'm sure he changed more than one. That's why I really wanted to have you on the show, because your message needs to be heard. Because when you get in front, I know you're doing Saugus coming up, right?
Yes, sir.
And stuff like that coming up. If he can change my son... My son didn't want nothing to do with school. I'm not even joking. All he wanted to do is play football. My wife just killing herself trying to. And he came home and he was serious. He said, Mom, I want straight A's. Will you help me? I was like, what? So that's very powerful. So listen, real quick, we got 1 minute coming up here. I want to squeeze in the fitness tip. Usually my wife will be giving this. It's real quick, real simple. We want to start. When you wake up first thing in the morning, you need to eat. 3, 4, 5, 6 hours gone by, that's no good. You need to eat in the first 30 minutes. And coffee and donuts are not a food group, okay? What you're going to do is you're going to turn your metabolism on and start going downhill instead of fighting uphill. And if you want more nutritional tips, just go to our Facebook, facebook.com, Réal Andrews, post a question. We'll do the best to answer it for him. But we're going to get ready, guys. We got some exciting stuff coming back on Getting Real with Réal Andrews, my co-host Alex Urbina, our host David Einemer. You're listening to your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS.